Hey guys, Gathering the Magic back again, and took me a while to put all these numbers together, as you will see as I go through the video. But there's two things that I want to cover in the land white paper. Basically, the surveying number breakdown for what type of rarity you're expected to get when you survey your plot, and also what is the most efficient way to get the most production points possible for the least amount of DEC. So those are the two things that I want to cover. One important note that I want to make is we are going to be entering phase 1, not phase 1.5. Phase 1.5 won't be until Q2. So a lot of the information that they went through on the Secret of Pretoria, if you'll look, the top is phase 1 surveying. So from surveying the land deeds, claiming, surveying, and starter packages, that is all going to happen by the end of March. Everything else, as far as the staking and the production points, the land rarity and all that, that is for 1.5. Also, like the food, the transportation, collecting grain, harvesting, totem fragments, those are all probably going to come somewhere between April and June. So a majority of this white paper is not going to cover what's going to happen by the end of March, but what's going to happen hopefully by the end of Q2. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at surveying your land and just kind of the breakdown. Now, one of the things they talked about in the white paper is your chances of getting each rarity. So when you survey your land, there's a 75% chance it's going to be a common, 20% chance it's going to be rare, 4% chance epic, and only a 1% chance for legendary. They also went over the boost that you will get to your production on that land. So if you have a common, you're not going to get any production boost. It's just standard amount. If you get a rare, it's a little bit, a 10% boost. If somehow you manage to get an epic, you're getting a 40%. And if you're one of the very fortunate people that managed to pull a legendary, you're basically going to get double production from that piece of land. Now, also, when you survey your land, besides the rarity, it's going to have a resource type, being either natural, magical, or occupied. Also revealed in the white paper, it said you would get a 12% chance of it being magical, 3% chance of occupied. So that means 85% are going to be natural. So you're going to get probably like a common forest or a common plains, that type of thing. Natural resource type lands will not produce any special resource. Magical lands will produce research tokens that are going to be used for later on in 1.5 and phase 2 for the Secret of Pretoria. And then if you get an occupied land, which you have a 3% chance, that is going to be resource SPS mining for the resource. So a lot of this is going to happen in phase 1.5 and later. The main thing I want to focus on now are your percentage chance of getting each combination of land. So there's 150,000 plots. So if you have a 75% chance of getting a common, that means there's 112,500 common plots, 30,000 rare, 6,000 epic, and 1,500 legendary. So of those 112,500 plots, 85% are going to be just plain natural, which ends up being 95,625 plots, or about 64%. You can look at the rest of the numbers here. I won't read them all one by one, but obviously if you look at the legendary plots, if there's only 1,500 and 85% of those are natural, that means 1,275 of the legendaries are going to be natural. Only 180 legendaries will be magical, and only 45 are going to be legendary occupied lands. So if you get a legendary occupied land, you basically have hit the lottery. Just to kind of simplify this a little bit more for the plot types. So of all the different combinations you could get, there's 12 combinations between common to legendary, and then natural, magical, or occupied. So when you survey your land, there's about a 64% chance it's going to be a common natural land, 17% chance it's going to be rare and natural, 9% for a common magical land, about 3.5% of an epic natural, about 2.5% rare magical, and a little over 2% chance that it's occupied but common. And these are going to make up about 98% of all the plots in the entire game, are going to be basically half the possible combinations. Now these are the ones that are super rare. A legendary, just natural land is going to happen less than 1% of the time. A rare occupied land, 0.6%. Epic magical, a little less than 0.5%. Then you get to the epic occupied and legendary magical lands, about 0.12. And then of course the legendary occupied is going to be the rarest in the game at 0.03%. So basically anything that is occupied is extremely, extremely rare, and most of the magical are going to be extremely rare to get. So even if you get a common magical land or a rare magical land, I would say hang on to it, because they are not very easy to get, and they should be pretty pricey, because magical resources are going to be important to the game and to land and crafting items. Now, one question I had, they said 1% of the plots will be legendary. So obviously 1% of 150,000 is 1,500, but we also know that there's going to be 1,500 castles and keeps in the game total. There's going to be 150 castles and 1,350 keeps. Are they counted as these 1,500 legendary? Meaning there are no other legendaries in the game other than castles and keeps? And I don't think so. So if we go by those numbers, these numbers here are going to be slightly lower, and I wrote those down here. You guys can look at them. So the castles and keeps we know in total will be 1,500. So then if 1% of the remaining 150,000 plots are legendary, that works out to 1,485. So these numbers will be slightly lower than the ones above, but you can see the legendary occupied is still only going to be about 45 plots total out of 150,000. So, the common natural, you can see almost 95,000. The rare, 25, 13,000. Once you start getting to legendary natural, these numbers get very, very small. Epic magical, a little over 700. Even a rare occupied, less than 900. And then about 178 legendary magical lands and 178 epic occupied. So some of these are going to be extremely, extremely pricey when they come out. It'll be interesting to see what the market prices those at. And I think if you guys remember a video I did a couple, 3 months ago, and I mentioned this, occupied legendary plots will be the rarest and most expensive in the game. So this is looking to be the case. Okay, so that's basically the numbers that we're going to look at for surveying and what your chances are of getting certain plots. So for me, I have 5 plots total. So odds are when I open mine, I'm probably going to get 4 commons and 1 rare. So, and if I get lucky, hopefully my rare will be occupied, but we'll see. So that's part of the fun. Okay, so the second point that I want to get to in this video is they mentioned that it's going to cost 10,000 DEC for each maxed monster card that you place on your plot. Now, this does not mean you have to spend 10,000 per monster card. You do not have to have a maxed monster card on your plot of land. And unless you have hundreds of thousands of DEC that you plan on spending, if you're on a budget and you only have, let's say, a few thousand DEC to spend, what cards can you place on your land that's going to cost the least amount of DEC? Basically, what is the best ratio to production points you're going to get for every DEC you spend? So let's go through that now. The worst thing you can do from a ratio standpoint is to put a max level common on your land, because it's only going to give you 1,000 production points and you're paying the 10,000 DEC. So you're basically getting a tenth of a production point for every DEC you're spending. Now, if you are lucky and somehow you have a max level gold foil alpha legendary card, you're going to get 100,000 production points for your 10,000 DEC. So you're basically going to get 10 production points for every DEC. But this is extremely, extremely unlikely. There are not very many people in the game that have gold foil alpha cards, especially maxed out. And if they do, they're probably using them They're not going to place them on land. But this is just to give you an example of, this is the worst ratio you can get at 0.1. This is the best you can get at 10. So everything else is going to fall within that range. So if we look at just the common cards, and I'm just going to be looking at 1 BCX of each type of card. So if you just have a 1 BCX common card, you know, whether it's a reward card or a Chaos Legion card, Rift Watcher card, you're going to get about 2.5 production points. You're going to spend 25 DEC. Because your card is not maxed, it's only 1 out of 400 to max it. So you're going to pay that percentage out of 10,000 DEC, which comes out to be 25. So for common, for every DEC that you spend, you're going to get 0.1, which is the worst ratio. So if you guys can avoid this at all, it's the best thing to do. Now let's just say you have a couple alpha commons. Say, okay, I've got an alpha divine healer. What can I get? You know, would it be worth it putting him on the land? Well, he's going to give you, since alpha cards get a 10 times bonus, he's going to give you 25 production points. He's going to cost you a little bit more. He's going to cost you 26.4 DEC because alpha cards for commons only take 379 to level, not 404. So he's going to give you almost a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you don't care too much about a ton of production points and you're just looking for value as far as commons go, an alpha common is probably your best ratio. Now, that being said, like I said, you're not going to get very much production if you only put a 1 BCX alpha card on your land, but you're going to get the best ratio for what you're willing to spend in DEC. Then you can see for beta, you're going to get about 0.63 points per DEC. Untamed, you're going to get about 0.2 production per DEC. And then for the gold foils, if you have a gold foil alpha common, just 1 BCX of it, you're going to get 523 points. It's going to cost you 322 DEC. So if you have a few hundred DEC or a few thousand DEC, you could put this alpha common gold foil, if you're lucky to have one, on your plot of land, and you're going to get, you know, 500 production points, which is way, way more than just a normal common card. And it's about half of as much as you would get if you had a maxed common on your land. Remember, if you have a maxed common on your land, you're going to get 1,000 production points. So this is going to give you about half of it, and you're not going to pay 10,000 DEC. You're going to pay 322. So that is a huge, huge difference. That's 30 times fewer DEC you're going to pay just to have a 1 BCX alpha gold foil compared to a max level common. Now granted, the price difference is going to be a lot different, but if you have this in your collection, you know, this is something that you're going to want to put on your land. Just put a single alpha gold foil common rather than a max level vampire bat or something like that. Shout out to vampire bats. Okay, so for your beta gold foils, you're looking at basically 1-to-1. Untamed gold foils about 0.4 to 1. The rares, you can go through the numbers. I won't read every one, but once again, rares give you the worst return. Your best returns, of course, are the alpha and beta gold foils. A decent return, almost 1-to-1, is your alpha BCX rares. And also your untamed gold foil is almost 1-to-1. Epics, you can kind of see the trend. Just put a common or just, you know, a 1 BCX epic, you're going to get, you know, about 0.125 PP per DEC. Best alpha and beta gold foils. Untamed gold foil, a little bit better than 1-to-1. And then the legendaries, the one thing I want you guys to look at, if you just put a alpha legendary down, it's going to be 1-to-1. But if you put a gold foil legendary, which is a lot cheaper than an alpha, it's also about 1-to-1. And then an alpha gold foil is 7.5-to-1, a beta gold foil 5-to-1, and an untamed legendary gold foil is 2-to-1. So all your gold foil legendaries pretty much across the board are going to give you better than 1 production point for every DEC you spend. Now there's a lot of legendary gold foil cards that have been cheap on the market, especially the reward cards. So if we go to look for sale, go back to the market, and let's just look at legendaries. Look at how these have gone up in price. I remember when Harclaw and Jinvilka were both, what, under 30 bucks? They've almost doubled since then. So your gold foil legendaries are going to cost you a little over, 55, 60 bucks, but they're going to give you a decent return. They're going to give you 2,500 production points. So it's basically going to be 1-to-1. So if you think it's worth it to get a $60 card, put it on your land for 2,500 production points, that might be the way to go to basically get a production point for every DEC that you're going to spend. Okay guys, there you have it. There's a lot of numbers in this video. Like I said, this is basically just trying to get the best ratio. Like I said, you still have to determine how much DEC do you want to spend and how many production points do you want to get off your piece of land. You can go for the cheaper commons or rares that will give you a good ratio, but they're not going to give you a lot of production. So this is basically more for the people that are looking for the best ratio, maybe the best deal, the best bang for their buck. If you're looking strictly for the best production, then it's very easy. Just go to the chart that they gave on the white paper and max out gold foil legendaries and just plop them on every piece of land that you own. But most people can't do that. So most people like me have a limited budget, limited amount of DEC. So I think what I am going to do personally is I'm going to, because I've kept some of my, I don't have very many, legendary cards, and I will probably be putting those on land. Maybe a couple alpha, if I could get an alpha legendary would be the way to go. But I'm trying to get right in the half. So if I can get 0.5 PP per DEC, I think that's a good starting point. 1 is going to be hard to get, a 1-to-1 ratio, unless you're willing to spend quite a bit of money getting gold foil legendaries. The best thing that you want to do is avoid, like I said, just putting commons on your land and getting the 0.1 production point per DEC. Try to get closer to the half. So there you have it. Hope you guys found this information useful. Getting excited about land, getting excited to open my plots. Even though I know that probably I'm going to get 3 or 4 common natural lands, that's okay. I still will be able to do a lot with it. It's still going to be a lot of fun. Hope you guys have great luck when you survey your plots. Just another note, this Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Gank and Walking Keys are going to be hosting a stream, and they are going to be claiming a plot of land along with people from Aftersounds community, Dwayne, Infidel 1258, his community, and hopefully some other communities and guilds as well. So come join us on Monday the 20th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gank and Walking Keys channel, NFT Gaming and Collectibles, and let's claim a plot of land together so we can all be in the same track and all help each other with trading and leveling our buildings. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any comments, questions. I will get back to those as soon as I can. And until then, great day for you guys. Hope you guys have a good one, and may all your plots be legendary. Take care.